have everything that I've created so far during this project. I have my letters, what we did last week with our black and white collage, and I have our main background, our Ben-Day dot background we did a couple of weeks ago. And the first thing I want to do is I'm just going to take my letters and I am going to cut them out just around that black line that we drew, just like this, being super careful because we worked really hard on these letters and we don't want to accidentally mess them up when we cut them out. So I'm going to go ahead and cut these letters out and I'll be right back to show you the next step. I just finished cutting out all my letters, and notice in these spaces on my letters, if you have like an A, you'll have a space. If you have a D, that's totally up to you if you want to cut those inside parts out. But I've decided to leave mine in because, as you can see, I have little bubble details inside of them, so there's really no point for me to cut those spaces out. But if you want to do that to your letters, then you definitely can. So I'm going to actually push my letters off to the side for just a moment, because what I want to do is I want to glue this to my Ben-Day dot background, okay? And you can play around with how you want to glue it down. Do you want it perfectly horizontal and straight? Do you want it a little bit crooked? Do you want it upside down this way? So you can play around with the composition. That's how you arrange an artwork, okay? So don't just randomly be like, okay, I want it like that just because. So I want you to try to play around with different ways and see which way you like the best. And I think I want mine to be a little bit just crooked, just a little bit. Not perfectly straight, but not crazy crooked like that. So I want mine to be a little bit wonky. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to flip it over, and you guessed it, I am going to glue this down. And of course, I will be using this little glue cup and a glue brush, but you could use a glue stick, even tape would work. And what I'm going to do is, you probably guessed again, I'm going to put little dots all the way around the edge. Okay, we do not need a lot of glue, guys. If you use too much glue, then it's going to be really sticky and messy, and your glue might start squirting out from under the sides, and that's not what we want, okay? We want to use our best craftsmanship while doing this. And right now your artwork might look super neat and have amazing craftsmanship, but gluing anything down could make it look messy. So we want to make sure that we're taking our time, just doing little dots around the edge. We don't even have to put glue in the middle, because all we're aiming for is for those edges to be glued down. As long as these edges are secured and glued down properly, then it won't go anywhere, okay? If you only put glue in the center, then your edges will start coming up and it might fall off. So our main concern is making sure those edges are nice and glued down. All right, so I just finished putting little dots all the way around the edge. And of course, I'm going to carefully flip it over, position it how I wanted it to be, and I wanted mine to be slightly crooked. And I'm going to put it down, and I'm going to press down. And since this is basically a collage on top of a piece of paper, gluing on top of another piece of paper, it's probably going to want to come up a little bit because it's sort of thick. So what we want to do is just make sure, reinforce it with your hands. Go all the way around the edges, make sure all of the sides are glued down. And if it pops back up, you can actually just take a little bit more glue and put a little glue down to help it out a little bit. Once you're confident that this is 100% glued down and it's not going anywhere, then we can start arranging our letters on top of this. Now my word is bubble, and that has 6 letters in it. And I can arrange this a few different ways. I could arrange this on one line, so it just is bubble like this, or maybe I want to make it 2 lines. And the first line is just B-U-B, and then B-L-E like this. You could definitely do that with your word. If your word is only 4 letters, then it will probably fit perfectly right onto your black and white collage, like that. But for mine, since mine is a little bit of a longer word, I have to decide how am I going to arrange this? Do I like it this way, or do I like it this way? You know what? I think I like it just as one word because it kind of fills these outer spaces as well. And those are the kinds of things you want to think about when coming up with your composition. How well does it fill your space? Does it fill your space at all? If it doesn't, how can you fill your space better? So without these 2 letters on the sides, it kind of looks a little blank and not complete. But once I put those letters down there, I think it makes it look a lot better. And those are the kinds of decisions that you have to make on your own as an artist based on what your artwork looks like. How do you want it to look? What are you envisioning in your head? Okay, so come up with your composition. Remember, that's how you arrange things onto your artwork. And once you're happy, you are just going to glue your letters down in that arrangement. And I am going to glue this down just like I glue everything else down. But notice I took my letter and I put it on my messy mat here because I don't want to get glue globs onto my actual artwork. So I'm just going to move my artwork over to the side, put my letter that I'm about to glue down on the messy mat, and do little dots all the way around the edge. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and glue all of these letters down, and I'll be right back to show you my finished artwork. Alright, I just finished gluing all of these letters down, and of course the edges are wanting to pop up, so I'm just going to hold them down to make sure my artwork stays nice and neat, or as neat as I possibly can get it. And I was looking at my artwork and I was supposed to be done after gluing the letters down, but I feel like it is missing something, and you might feel that way as well when you look at your final artwork. I think what is missing is a little highlight on my letters. If you look at a real bubble, it's very shiny on these highlighted areas, and I feel like my drawn highlights are just not enough. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to experiment. This was not planned, but I want to take a white oil pastel and just go over those areas to kind of make them stand out a little bit more, just to give it a little extra pop. And you might decide your artwork needs that as well, but maybe it doesn't, and you want to leave it just like it is. But you definitely have an option of adding other elements to your artwork once it's done if you feel like it's just not complete yet. And yeah, I think that gives it the pop that it needed. So I'm just going to add white to my highlights just to make them pop off of my letters a little bit more. And I think that is exactly what this artwork needed. Yes, I think adding those highlights to all of my letters just helped them pop a lot more, kind of gave it that shiny look that I was going for. So, very good. If you are done, all you had to do was glue this down onto your Ben-Day Doll background, cut your letters out and glue those down, and come up with your composition, possibly add a couple more details just to make your artwork pop a little bit more. I hope you guys had a lot of fun during this project and learned a lot about pop art and onomatopoeias, a lot of different art techniques that you could use in your own artwork. Cannot wait to see how your final pop art onomatopoeia collages come out. I know they're going to be amazing because you guys are amazing. All right, I'll see you guys next time. Bye guys!